Hi guys, as you can see, today's lesson we're going to be looking at visualizations and mandalas. This YouTube video is going to talk you through things that you should have picked up. So if you were struggling, hopefully this will help you with that. And I'm going to be talking through the answers as well to some of the questions, again, if you were struggling on those answers. So you should, from doing the lesson yourself, you should have picked up what they are and how they're used. You also should, for your should objective, be able to say how these things help a Buddhist on their way to enlightenment. Remember, enlightenment is the freedom of suffering and the freedom of attachments to things. Then what we should be able to do at the end, the could objective, is see how all the things that we've looked at so far, all the different meditations, including visualizations and mandalas, how they help, which one you think helps the Buddhist the most on their way to enlightenment. So that's going over everything you've looked at so far and really picking out anything you might not understand. And if you can argue which one you think is the most important, that shows you're doing really, really well, because it's allowing you to pick out which ones out of all of them you think's the best and justify that opinion. Okay guys, so let's crack on with the lesson today. What I'm going to do now is talk you through the answers to those questions, because obviously that's what this video is for. So you should have read the 2 pages that follow this slide. They are from your AQA GCSE textbook, so I do urge you guys to make sure you have read that, but I'm going to explain these answers for you in case you were struggling. So a visualization, then what is it? A visualization is when a Buddhist will literally visualize, which means they will picture a Buddha, which is an enlightened being, or a bodhisattva, which is again a bodhisattva is an enlightened being, but they decide when they die they will be reincarnated again. They decide to come back. So they're basically like really good teachers that die and keep coming back again and again to keep teaching their Buddhist pupils. So they'll imagine these types of people in their heads, and say for example the Buddha himself, they'll visualize him and they'll picture him in their mind and they'll think, what did he do to get there? What did he do that was really good? What kind of things can I pick up from him and use in my life? So they're looking at him to gain inspiration from him. So visualization is where you picture a Buddha or a Bodhisattva and you gain inspiration from them. So this moves on to number 2. How do these help Buddhists? So I've kind of already answered that previously, but it helps them because they gain inspiration from them. They look at the Buddha that they're looking at and they think, what did he do that I can do to make me become a better person, so I can follow in his footsteps, or maybe I can use something he did in my life to make me a better Buddhist so I can get closer to enlightenment, and so on. So visualizations help because it gives them inspiration, it gives them guidance, and it helps them along their path towards enlightenment. The third question then says, explain in some detail whether or not you think visualizations help Buddhists in their journey to enlightenment. So do you think picturing somebody and trying to pick them apart and get some inspiration from them is the best way to achieve peace? So, and it's the goal of enlightenment. So you might say yes, because when we first, if you were to become a Buddhist today, you wouldn't know, you'd know bits about it, but you wouldn't know exactly how to get towards enlightenment. So if you picture a Buddha who has done it, they've been there and they've done that, then maybe that will, you say, would help you in your journey to enlightenment, because they're giving you clues, they're giving you inspiration, they're showing you what to do, they're laying down that path of how to get there. It's kind of like when I'm in lessons with you guys and I show you past exam questions. I'm showing you what you need to do to get to your goal of doing really well in an exam. That's kind of what visualizations is for a Buddhist. It's showing them what to do and how to get there. So that's why you could say they would help. If you think actually no, they don't help, you could argue things, for example, they don't, just staring at somebody. So if I say say for example Amitabha Buddha, if you didn't know who that Amitabha Buddha was, he's a really important person in Pure Land Buddhism. If you didn't know about anything about him, I just stuck a picture in front of you and said, I want you to meditate on this person, you wouldn't know anything about his background, you wouldn't know anything about how he got to enlightenment and what he does to help people. So it lacks the context, it lacks the description that some people need if they're starting off. It doesn't tell them about, for example, if you were staring at the Buddha who started Buddhism, you wouldn't know about his background of living in a palace, of having a really rich upbringing. You wouldn't have seen all of that, you wouldn't know it. So you could say visualizations, they don't contain lots of detail or enough to help the Buddhist to learn more about the religion and carry it forward. So that's one way you could disagree with it. If you were sort of on the fence, obviously you can say why you agree and disagree. That's absolutely fine. I'm just giving you some kind of ideas of what you could have put in that answer there. Remember, guys, like I said in the last few videos, if you haven't heard the answer that you've put, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. So if you want to clarify anything, please email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I've just skipped past the reading that was linked to the last few questions. So this is the next activity. Now, this activity was a stretch and challenge activity. So this is for any pupil who are in the top sets or higher sets, or anybody who's aiming for, if your target grade is a 6 or above. So this here, I'll read through the instructions and then talk to you through some of the answers, because that's what this video is for. So the next few slides are on Pure Land Buddhism and Amitabha Buddha. You might have heard me say Amitabha Buddha previously, so this is why this comes into play, because it links back to your topic on Buddhism. So what I want you to do is read the pages and then create a fact file on Pure Land Buddhism and Amitabha, because they focus on visualizations quite a lot in this type of Buddhism, because Pure Land Buddhism is a type of Buddhism, similar to in Christianity how you've got Catholics and Protestants. They're both Christians, but they're different types of Christians. So a Pure Land Buddhist is a type of Buddhism. So what you're asked to do here is create a fact file, and then you're asked to explain how visualizations are used and why they're important in this type of Buddhism. So what I'll do is I'll talk you through the possible answers for this, guys. So what was the first question? Just let me read through a second. Fact file on Pure Land Buddhism. Okay, so Amitabha Buddha is a person who they believe achieved enlightenment. He is a Buddha, and they believe that he created a land which is different and separate from the world that we live in today, which is called the Pure Land. And what Buddhists believe is that if you have complete and utter faith in Amitabha, they believe he's died and now he is in the Pure Land, so he's in that place that he's created, which is separate from this world. If you have faith in Amitabha and you worship him and you're completely devoted to Amitabha, Pure Land Buddhists believe that when you die, you'll be reincarnated into the Pure Land. And why is that really, really good for a Pure Land Buddhist then? They believe that obviously Amitabha is there and he will teach you and help you and guide you to, basically it's like one-to-one tuition. It's like a really brilliant private school in a way, this Pure Land is for Pure Land Buddhists. So they'll get one-to-one tuition, you'll get taught by Amitabha, and you are guaranteed, once you have been in that place, to gain enlightenment and to reach nirvana, which is when you reach nirvana, once you're enlightened, you do not come back. You've broken the chain of reincarnation, which is a really good thing for Buddhists. So Pure Land Buddhists believe, in summary, Amitabha Buddha created the Pure Land. He died and he is now in the Pure Land. They believe that if you worship him and you're devoted to him and you visualize him, which I'll come on to in a moment, and you have pure faith in him, you'll be reincarnated in the Pure Land. Amitabha will help you when you're in the Pure Land, and then you will gain enlightenment thereafter. Okay, so that's a very, very simple way of looking at it. So where do visualizations come into this then? So a visualization is a technique that Pure Land Buddhists do when they are here in this world. So when they're meditating, they will visualize and worship Amitabha. Sometimes they will chant, which is something you looked at in the last few lessons. They will literally sometimes chant his name over and over and over again, hundreds of times, to have faith in him, to show faith in him and devotion to him. So that's where visualizations are used, and how it helps them is it shows devotion and it allows them therefore to be reincarnated into the Pure Land. A little bit of a side note, which is something you might have in your fact file, is some Buddhists who aren't Pure Land Buddhists, so there's different types of Buddhists, so you've got Mahayana and Theravada Buddhists. Sometimes they disagree with Pure Land Buddhism, because one of the key things in Pure Land Buddhism is it's not what you do in this life, it isn't based on your actions as such. If you do bad things, you get bad karma and then you have a bad rebirth and so on. But in Pure Land Buddhism, if you have pure faith in Amitabha, even if you had done bad things in this life, but you have total devotion and faith in Amitabha, you could get reincarnated into the Pure Land, because reincarnation into the Pure Land is based on faith and devotion, not on your karma. So some people argue that you could have killed somebody intentionally or done something really, really bad in this world, but if you are completely devoted to Amitabha and you worship and you do visualizations and chants and mantras every single day, technically you could still get reincarnated into the Pure Land. So some people are quite strongly against this type of belief, because they believe that it should be based on your merits as well as other things. So that's just a little bit of research and gives you a bit more depth into visualizations.